No one saw this coming, not Toyota, not BMW, not even Tesla's own board. But 5 minutes ago, the balance of power in the automotive world shifted permanently. Beneath closed doors, at what was expected to be a routine investor briefing, a prototype vehicle was quietly introduced. There was no charge port, no battery pack, no combustion engine. Its only fuel source was water. At first, the announcement seemed implausible. Speculation erupted. Skeptics assumed it was a proof of concept, an engineering stunt. But then the machine was activated. It moved under its own power. No visible exhaust, no sound, just seamless acceleration, 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. And it did not consume a single drop of gasoline or electricity. Tesla had done the unthinkable. Elon Musk addressed the audience with a brief but startling confirmation. This is Aqua Drive, developed in complete secrecy since 2018. It does not store power, it generates it. Within minutes, global markets began to react. Tesla's valuation surged. Trading was temporarily halted. Energy analysts scrambled to interpret a future in which electric vehicles charged from the grid might already be outdated. Because Aqua Drive is not a battery, it is a real-time hydrogen generation system powered entirely by water. At its core is a graphene ceramic ultrasonicator vibrating at over 2,000 cycles per second. This device breaks down water molecules inside a sealed chamber, extracting hydrogen as needed and feeding it directly into a microturbine combustion unit. There is no storage, no compression, no external infrastructure. The vehicle carries a modest 40-liter tank filled with distilled water. The system requires no special refueling procedure, just clean water from any safe source. Rainwater, filtered seawater, even tap water in emergencies. The result is over 820 kilometers of range per fill. Refueling time is less than 90 seconds. Top speed is 189 kilometers per hour, limited only by software. The exhaust is nothing but steam. Efficiency is over 90% thanks to a recirculated oxygen loop that pushes combustion output beyond anything seen in battery or fuel cell technology. And perhaps most disruptive of all, the operating cost is just 0.7 cents per mile. A COD drive is not a marginal improvement, it is a total reinvention. It does not rely on superchargers. It does not depend on the electrical grid. It requires no lithium, no cobalt, no rare earth metals. And with one stroke, it undermines the industrial foundation of the global EV movement. The implications were immediate. Executives at competing automakers canceled press appearances. Hydrogen lobbyists launched emergency public relations briefings. Investment in lithium extraction saw an instant slowdown. Patent filings connected to Tesla spiked by the hour, because Aqua Drive does not just disrupt technology, it disrupts power, geopolitical, economic, and environmental. Entire supply chains are now in question. Charging infrastructure may soon be irrelevant, and the decades-long race for battery supremacy just lost its finish line. Musk's closing words were not boastful. They were chilling in their simplicity. This is not the end of electric, but it might be the beginning of something better. Aqua Drive does not ask the world to choose between gas or electric. It replaces the question altogether. A vehicle powered by water, fueled by vibration, generating its own energy on the move. Not a dream, not a prototype, but a fully functional system that already exists and now threatens to upend every blueprint in the transportation industry. This moment may be remembered as the day the future was rewritten again, and this time it was not about batteries. It was about water. The problem was that no one told the battery kings their throne was gone. They thought they were ahead of the curve with solid-state batteries, AI-optimized charging stations, and lithium supply chains locked down for decades. Tesla was building the future on a battery pack. But behind closed doors, that future was starting to unravel, not in test labs, but in boardrooms where margins were shrinking and forecasts no longer made sense. Every breakthrough in battery chemistry hit the same limits of cost, scale, and geopolitical volatility. The real turning point came from a startup almost no one remembered, buried deep in Tel Aviv and acquired without fanfare in 2021. There was no press release, no tweet from Musk, just a line item hidden in a shell company's asset list, Hydronova Systems Limited. Their original mission was not transportation. It was naval miniaturized water splitting technology designed for long-range submarine drones. But at the heart of their system was something scalable, an ultrasonic separator capable of generating hydrogen on demand. Tesla's best engineers were sent in quietly and anonymously. Within months, the data was clear. Faster energy release, lower heat loss, zero lithium. But the biggest revelation was not technological, it was strategic. A propulsion system powered by water meant freedom. Freedom from rare earth monopolies, freedom from cobalt conflicts, freedom from a battery supply chain straining under its own weight. Internal memos were blunt, stating that lithium is the single-point failure of the EV revolution. The Aquadrive was not just a new engine. It was the contingency plan, and the timing was critical. Unpublished modeling data projected an 18% global decline in EV sales by 2027, not due to a failure of innovation, but because the infrastructure could not keep up. Fragile grids, charger downtime, and lithium volatility under global pressure made the cracks visible, so the decision was made. There was no fanfare, no leaks, just a prototype and a live demonstration to reset the narrative. But what followed was not celebration, it was escalation. Behind the scenes, resistance formed fast. Patent rejection attempts came within 36 hours, filed by a coalition of legacy energy firms, German utilities, Korean battery giants, and even a French oil-linked shell company, all citing the same concern of being destabilizing to global energy security. Soon after, leaked emails surfaced of lobbyists discussing strategies to delay, discredit, or disable the technology. One line stood out, stating, "This is not an engine, it is a weapon." Then came the whispers from inside Tesla's Gigafactory. A senior propulsion engineer, crucial to Aquadrive testing, collapsed. The symptoms suggested poisoning. Nothing was confirmed, but the results he was finalizing vanished. Meanwhile, rivals moved in. Chinese automakers began reverse engineering similar technology. Academic papers were scraped and old patents reanalyzed. Tesla's cyber teams traced intrusion attempts back to institutions with state backing. The launch date was accelerated by 11 months, not for glory, but for defense. What the world witnessed was not a polished product. It was a warning shot, an early prototype rough around the edges deployed ahead of sabotage. At first, it felt like science fiction until reality cracked. But the real shockwave was not just in boardrooms or trading floors. It rippled straight into the hands of everyday consumers. Within 72 hours of Aquadrive's reveal, car dealerships across California, Germany, and South Korea reported foot traffic plummeting by nearly 40%. Automakers like Hyundai, Renault, and BYD scrambled to slash prices, offering unexpected discounts as deep as $4,500 to clear aging electric vehicle inventory. Online resale platforms saw a surge, with listings jumping 19% as anxious owners rushed to offload battery-dependent vehicles they feared had become obsolete overnight. Social media erupted, with forums flooded with questions about canceling Model Y deliveries and whether it was worth waiting for water-powered cars. Even Tesla's most devoted customers hesitated, uncertain whether their investments were already outdated. For many, the allure of a propulsion system promising near-zero fuel costs, no range anxiety, and rapid refueling upended years of loyalty and planning. Insurance companies adjusted risk models on the fly, lowering premiums for Aquadrive-enabled vehicles while hiking costs for older EVs. Fleet operators paused orders, reevaluating their entire procurement strategies. For the first time since the EV revolution began, the question was not when will the future arrive, it was has it already arrived and did I miss it? And that quiet panic multiplied across millions, hitting the global economy like a tectonic jolt. The markets opened in chaos. Within the first 47 minutes of trading, Saudi Aramco lost $29 billion, its sharpest single-day plunge since the 2020 oil collapse. Analysts on Bloomberg fell silent mid-broadcast, uncertain whether to label it a crash or a transformation. But in Oslo, something even stranger occurred. Norway abruptly suspended its National Lithium Reserve Initiative, a strategy once compared to the North Sea oil bonanza. Their sovereign wealth fund reallocated billions into desalination technology, citing emerging propulsion requirements. India, once trailing in the EV arms race, suddenly flipped the board. Parliament fast-tracked a bold hydrogen combustion tax credit, not just to catch up with Tesla, but to leapfrog it entirely. The bill passed in under 48 hours. Then came the 7 Energy Summit. Japan took the floor first with no mention of battery parity or debates about EV quotas. Instead, they unveiled the Water Mobility Framework, urging regulators worldwide to rewrite vehicle classes and emissions laws before Musk's invention made them irrelevant. And then quietly, Russia released a single-line press memo stating the Ministry of Defense is now fully engaged in the study of water-based propulsion for military transport. There was no elaboration, no press conference, just a cold signal. The arms race had officially begun, but while world powers scrambled to reposition their economies, the EV industry itself began to unravel. Over 50,000 charging station projects across North America were suddenly frozen, scrapped, or quietly shelved. Local officials cited strategic ambiguity as private capital vanished without a trace. California's grid planners, once boasting a decade-long EV energy strategy, abandoned the model. Emergency funds were redirected into municipal water systems and mobile purification hubs. With no fanfare, just hidden line items deep within public budget portals, Tesla, already 5 steps ahead, made its next move by dissolving the entire supercharger division and reborn it as Tesla Hydra Systems. Their first commercial product was mobile desalination pods with integrated hydrogen refueling capability deployable anywhere on Earth. The ripple effects were brutal. EV battery recycling firms went into freefall, with Q3 forecasts slashed by 22%. Contracts were frozen and warehouses filled with lithium packs that nobody needed anymore. Meanwhile, gas station giants began quietly defecting. Shell, Chevron, and even BP launched pilot water hub programs across 3 continents, with each hub capable of purifying, compressing, and dispensing hydrogen in under 0.6 minutes. But what had Musk unlocked that rewrote the laws of propulsion? At the heart of Tesla's Aqua Drive engine lies a self-repairing piezo electric membrane capable of releasing 10 billion ultrasonic pulses per cycle. It disintegrates H2O molecules in real time. The pulse frequency is precisely tuned to the cavitation threshold of water, allowing hydrogen extraction without electrolysis and without external energy spikes. The combustion chamber, not metal, is forged from boron nitride. Microturbine is resilient beyond 2,200 degrees Celsius. These turbines do not just survive the burn, they accelerate in it. There are no pistons and no crankshaft. Kinetic force is captured through a rotating magnetic axle coil, transforming plasma pressure directly into torque with zero mechanical lag. Lithium ion is obsolete, replaced by supercapacitor arrays that handle power smoothing and regenerative braking, charging and discharging with no degradation at speeds 3,000 times faster than conventional cells. Even the waste is weaponized. Exhaust heat is funneled into a steam recompression loop, cooling the chamber while adding 18% to the total range. There is no muffler, no emissions, just vapor and forward momentum. This was not a drivetrain upgrade. This was a paradigm shift in motion itself, and somewhere deep within Tesla's Nevada Gigafactory, they were not prototyping it, they were mass producing it. But the world was not ready for what came next, not lawmakers, not automakers, not oil magnates, because Musk's next move would render every existing transportation law irrelevant. And it all began with a vehicle the public had never seen, a model with no press leaks, no code name, no VIN, just a silhouette hidden behind biometric glass in a locked chamber. It was not a car, not a truck, but something new, and when the doors finally opened, it was not science fiction, it was production ready. The vehicle was not just a prototype, it was a revolution packed into a refined Tesla frame, a design so modular it could be integrated into nearly any Tesla chassis on the road today. By 2027, internal projections revealed that 47% of all Model 3s could be upgraded to water propulsion with a simple drivetrain swap. No batteries, no rare earth metals, no dependencies. This was not just a technical breakthrough, it was an escape hatch from a global supply chain chokehold. Aqua Drive eliminated all reliance on rare earth elements, fracturing China's decades-long control over the electric vehicle ecosystem. The consequences echoed beyond transportation, enabling energy independence and grassroots economies powered by nothing more than tap water and the world's first decentralized auto revolution. In the most isolated corners of the planet, regions without electricity or fuel, this engine still worked. All it required was a basic hose, a small pump, and sunlight to purify the input. Anti-air legacies of infrastructure, monopoly, and international dependence were being outpaced by one of the simplest elements on Earth. But this storm had been forming for decades. Musk had dropped subtle warnings cryptic enough to ignore. In 2022, during a scarcely noted interview, he remarked that batteries are temporary and that nature has better chemistry. Most did not grasp the weight behind the line. Then came a long-forgotten 2019 patent that detailed acoustic fluid splitters, the very mechanism now confirmed to be at the core of aqua drive. Meanwhile, journalists who speculated on water propulsion were swiftly discredited through coordinated campaigns, and their stories vanished from major outlets. Inside SpaceX, the pivot began earlier. A quiet reassignment of top-tier chemists into a sealed-off division labeled Skunkworks Energy Lab raised eyebrows in Austin. These were not rocket engineers, they were architects of a new energy paradigm. Even back in 2018, during the infamous Cybertruck tear, down leaks, fragments of the aqua drive system had already been spotted, cloaked beneath the vehicle's stainless steel armor. The technology was not new. It was hidden in plain sight. Now it was official. Tesla had opened Model H Pre-A orders, the hydrogen water variant, with delivery set for Q4 of 2026. Within hours, demand surged by over 600%. This was not just a vehicle people were reserving. It was a movement, a declaration of independence. The defining moment came during the final product reveal. A demonstration was staged where a standard bottle of drinking water was poured directly into the engine's chamber. Seconds later, the vehicle came to life with no cables, no petroleum, and no theatrics, just clean water converting into motion. The symbol was unmistakable. The message reverberated louder than any press release. The future does not run on lithium. It does not burn oil. It flows with water. Behind closed doors, Wall Street convulsed. Analysts scrambled to revalue every asset tied to EVs. Stock tickers surged and collapsed in real time. Funds shifted course and billion-dollar forecasts dissolved into vapor. And for the rest of the world, it is no longer speculating about when the electric era will arrive because it just got eclipsed by a new one. Water propulsion is not coming. It is already here. And what it means for governments, for corporations, and for civilization itself remains unknown. The engine is running, but the journey has only just begun.